right, welcome to the Death Before Decay podcast. I'm Dr. Erlien and I. This show is about confidence, craft, and building something real in dentistry, in business, and in life. And this season is brought to you by Taylor Drive Dental Care. I am with my normal co-host, my buddy Jon Erlien, but he's also kind of the guest today because we're going to be hitting on a bunch of stuff that he loves to talk about as well. How are you, Jon?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me, Dr. E.
Oh, you bet, buddy. You bet.
We are not sponsored by Liquid Death, but we do drink it on each show. So like maybe if Liquid Death is interested in sponsoring just two guys that
sending free
sending, sure, that's cool, but not the Fruity Pebbles.
No, you weren't a fan. I didn't try it.
I wouldn't.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh,
real talk here. Okay.
Yeah, why not? You know?
Mm-hmm.
So today we're going to be just kind of talking about some things that have changed in like business and in dentistry. And really want to get the opportunity to talk about marketing and the things that you and I enjoy talking about, which is branding and discovering, creating identities for businesses through branding. And we both are the children of entrepreneurs. Both our fathers were entrepreneurs themselves. My dad was a dentist, and your dad
is still a jeweler at 83 years old.
Still rocking it. And
absolutely, I love him for that.
Does he have a computer in his jewelry store?
He does.
Okay, he does.
He does. Oddly enough, too, he it's a PC, but he's been an Apple guy for a long time, and I was always like, dude, what are you doing? He's like, well, it worked with the printer that I had. That was like 25 years old.
Yes, so that's why he kept it. Got it. But
I'm sure you can relate.
I definitely can. Because like when it comes down, like for my industry, I think dentistry has changed more in the last 5 to 10 years than people realize, with just the inundation of how much information there is for people.
Mm-hmm.
Social media has changed dentistry. You could say for the better, you could say for the worse. I think there's a component that affects dentists specifically on a psychological level that I don't like about social media when it comes to dentistry, but we can get more into that too.
Mm-hmm.
But when we look from like a technology aspect and what people expect and how they find you as a dentist and what the expectation is, I think has changed drastically from the time that my dad was doing it. And it may be happening faster, but I really don't think it's a new concept. My dad didn't do dentistry how my great grandfather did dentistry.
Right.
Right. And in fact, when my dad came to this community, advertising as a dentist was like frowned upon. He tells me these stories of people would like give him raised eyebrows or like call him and be like, hey, you can't be doing that, when he would like advertise in the yellow pages.
So what was so frowned upon?
There was just this like idea that you are a healthcare provider, you are a upper echelon figure in the community, and like marketing your trade was just, that's not what we do.
That's so interesting because
and marketing in dentistry is highly regulated. You cannot say certain things.
Oh, I'm sure.
And you and I have talked about that. You'll give me scripts. I'm like, not allowed to say that.
Nope. Yeah. Fail fast.
Yeah.
But like, so not even being able to market your services was frowned upon.
Yeah. They did not want you. It was, I remember he called the local paper when he got like some new machine. They did a story on it, and he had like one of the old timers calling him and being like, what are you doing? Like, I remember that phone call.
That's weird.
And it's definitely different now.
Well, okay. And how would you feel if someone was like challenging you to be like, why are you marketing yourself?
It's come up. It has.
Okay.
Like,
so how have you handled it?
I see you on the billboard all the time. Ha 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 ha. Great. It's working. That's what I'm going for. Like, my face is on my billboard because I am part of the brand. I am the lead practitioner of the practice. People should know who they're walking in on. I have an amazing associate, Dr. Butler. We got to get her on a billboard sooner or later.
Yes.
But like when I was seeking out an associate, I needed someone that matched that brand too, and that caliber of human being, and we definitely nailed it with her. But that's what I wanted. I wanted people to walk in and have some sort of familiarity with me, and that's why my marketing is the way it is. That's why, on the YouTube commercial, my YouTube video, and I'm like, good, it's working.
Yeah.
Like that's the idea. Like you can still hit skip after 5 seconds. Like I won't take offense.
Yeah.
But
so where was so the marketing for Taylor Drive Dental Care when you stepped into the practice?
So my dad was, he pushed marketing forward, I think, when it came to dentistry in this community. He did a lot of radio ads. And they obviously worked.
They totally worked. Okay, so
at that time.
They did, because again, like pulling the levers that are available to you. So when your dad was marketing, there wasn't social media levers to pull, right? So there was really radio was an affordable option.
The back of the yellow pages, which everyone got.
Right, and newspaper, right? So some sort of print and radio. But digital was not part of the conversation.
It was not.
Right.
And it's an area he never developed. He tried to get social media going a few times. He just hired like social media groups to do it.
Right.
It didn't work. But people still talk about the radio ads all the time. In fact, we had
They totally work.
Yeah.
Sedation dentistry.
Yes. He would talk about sedation dentistry and pretty much nothing else. Oh, that and not judging, which still is a core tenet at Taylor Drive Dental Care, is we don't judge, we don't criticize. We meet you where you're at on your journey. What happened yesterday, part of your journey, and I care about that, but it doesn't impact how I'm going to treat you today. And that's something that I think he did a really good job about. And this is how well those radio ads worked. Is I had a patient who came in and claims to have heard that radio ad like a few months ago. That radio ad hasn't been up for 3 years.
It's
stuck
in their head.
Yes. And
that's good marketing.
It is. And my dad would do billboards here and there. It wasn't like his big thing. But so when I came in, I was like, hey, I'm not looking to become an influencer, but social media is a way that people check you out.
Absolutely.
They want to see what you're doing. And they don't always care about the before and after. I care about the before and after, and that's why I post that. They care about the journey and the experience of the patient. How is the patient feeling? So that's what you and I have been trying to capture more in the marketing, is that journey. We're doing more video testimonial work. Like we've got more things in the pipeline. And what I like about digital marketing is you can evolve it a little bit quicker.
Yeah, and you can pivot and you can learn from it. You can get measurable results where you don't with other mediums, right? Like a billboard, right? It's just impressions.
Right. It's brand recognition.
It's brand recognition, unless like, you put your URL on there and it's a unique one. So then like if a user were to input that into their device or computer, right? You know where they came from, and then you can kind of tie it back to that advertising. But not a lot of people are really doing that.
No, and I think I've told you this before, that my goal of the billboard is that when somebody Googles dentist in Sheboygan, even if I'm not hitting the top because of my SEO, which is search engine optimization.
He knows marketing now.
I do. Kind of. I want them to recognize the name, and that's what the billboard does. I'm not looking for direct traffic off of that. And I think social media ties into that as well. And when it comes down to it, patients are more informed and less informed in a lot of ways. You've got a lot of influencers out there who are peddling BS, and people are willing, like when you put a microphone in front of someone, they gain authority. It almost feels like.
In your opinion, in your expert opinion, what is good marketing for dentistry?
I think like there should be a mix of like, hey, I'm the fun guy. Like at my office, my staff are having enough fun to make a funny TikTok reel or something like that on social media. But at the same time, like you need to put yourself out there in a real, authentic way.
Mm-hmm.
And if you aren't able to do that, maybe you shouldn't be the face of your advertising. If you have to fake and act, it's not going to come across the same. And maybe you need to rely on a different way of marketing. Maybe you aren't the face of your marketing. So social media has made it like that the patients are more informed about who their practitioners are. They can look up a ton of information so quickly. And sometimes they'll come in there and challenge you on it. Mm-hmm. There's a whole lot more options. And some of those people are like putting tons of money out for cheap dentistry. And it's just hard because patients are more aware of everything. I think they're more cosmetically aware too. I think good marketing for dentistry is authentic. You're not making any claims that can't be validated through science. Not just storytelling, but through science. And does not degrade or diminish what your fellow practitioners are out there trying to do.
I know a lot of times from a marketing and branding standpoint, there's a question that I will ask, right? The first thing is like, how is this campaign or something going to live? But then like when I go through my process, you know, it really comes down to what is life like with good dentistry and what is life like with, you know, bad dentistry or just not even maintaining your mouth. Right. And those are things that I think a lot of people put off dentistry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So,
and I get it.
Right. And because mouth pain, right, can be the worst kind of pain, but there's also what life can be like if you solve the problem. And that is something that I think when it comes to the work that we've been doing is that we take an empathetic approach because we do understand.
Right. I think it comes all down to confidence. I've met plenty of patients that are confident and smiley and are great with their discolored, misshapen teeth that they have, and their health is good and they're doing fine. And then I meet people who are extremely insecure with their smile and how that impacts their daily life. And when that comes down to it, that impacts your mental health. Your mental health can impact your physical health. So for me, I'm looking to, create a healthy mouth. I'm looking to restore the teeth to their natural form and function and try to get them into their ideal positioning if I can.
Right. But, and we've talked about this, right? So part of you connecting with your audience is meeting them where they are. You said that earlier, right? Meet them where they are on their photography journey.
Photography?
Sorry.
Or dental
journey or, whatever. But, so you meet people at all different stages of this.
But I watch confidence light up on people when they have a smile that they're confident about. And I think you would probably agree. If you're confident, your ability to be successful also goes up.
But the messaging is very important because there are a lot of people, like you said, they're insecure about their smile. Maybe they're missing teeth or the color of their teeth prevents them from smiling or doing public speaking or doing that presentation at work, right? It's a total confidence shift for a lot of people. And, the first question that I like to ask is, well, what are you doing about it? Right. But when we're from a marketing standpoint, clarity will always win, especially with me. So this is a bit of a narrow-minded opinion, but acknowledging, are you missing teeth? Yeah. Right? Hey, are you missing teeth and do you want your confidence back? Find both at Taylor Drive Dental Care with Dr. Elliot Humston.
Yeah, and that's worked.
Right, exactly. It's not trying to be cryptic or like whatever. So when we got into doing a lot of this work, I was trying to encourage you to just keep it real, be authentic, and let people know how you can solve their problem. You have another business venture too. I'm not trying to digress too much, but one of the services is laser hair removal.
Yeah.
Right. So like, how do you advertise for that? How do you do it in a way that, can get people talking, right? Hey, do you have unwanted hair? We can help. I mean, it's as simple as that. You don't have to make people feel bad about it, but what that does is it lets other people know that, hey, we understand what your problem is, and we can help you, or we can solve your problem.
Yeah, I think confidence is essential in we want to target towards building people's confidence.
So, building up their confidence, because they're going to leave feeling a lot better, right, about their smile and their smile transformation or whatever it is they do after they're done leaving their session or their appointment with you. But, there's that continued relationship.
Yeah, and I think if we look at what social media's impact is on the world, again, positive or negative, I'm not here to debate that.
Right.
People are looking to look better, look more confident, because that's what they're seeing broadcasted back on them. And so for me getting people's teeth in the right place and restoring them to form and function, the outcome is usually better looking teeth. The outcome of that is more confidence.
Mm-hmm.
My goal is, hey, I'm going to do my best to give you a healthy mouth,
mm-hmm.
improve your quality of life, and hey, your teeth look better too.
Mm-hmm.
And the outcome from that is confidence.
Absolutely.
And, people have a lot of options out there. There's a lot of dentists out there. People are more willing to travel than they used to be to get certain services.
And we have to market to those people.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, the outreach needs to be a little bit more broad, outside of just my community at times.
Mm-hmm. And easier too, right? Like, when your dad had the practice and he was doing advertising, again, print and radio were probably his two popular mediums, right? But now you take a different approach for marketing because you have a local strategy, right? What are you doing locally to make sure that you're showing up in all the right places digitally? You also have the opportunity, and we do a lot of billboard campaigns with Dr. Elliott and his staff. But now you can pull that lever of social media, right? And you could do a targeted campaign 50 miles away because we know that we already have patients driving from that far away to work with Dr. Elliott.
I mean, it was pretty cool when I had my first patient travel 2 hours.
Yeah, that's a great feeling.
It was. And it added to my confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when we talk about marketing and branding is like a word that gets thrown around a lot.
It's broad.
And I think it's getting almost like this cringy reaction. Have you watched the Scrubs reboot yet?
Not yet.
It's really funny.
Okay.
But there's Dr. TikTok. She's like an influencer resident.
Okay.
She's hilarious. What I like about her a lot too is she's a good doctor.
Mm-hmm.
But she's crying and they're like, why did you act like that? Why didn't you just come to me for help? And she says, it goes against my brand.
Oh my God. Well, that's not bad though.
No, but we'll just kind of tying things back in here.
Well, I'd like to address something on that, whether it's real or not, right? But at the end of the day, man, your brand is a helpless thing that you have control over. And when a brand is like a helpless baby, like a newborn baby, because it can't do anything for itself. And then when a brand is, when you're feeling frustration from a project or, there's negative energy that comes from something from the brand, it's because it wasn't being taken care of.
Yeah.
It's like a helpless baby. When you feed the baby, it's calm, right? When it's sitting in its own poo, like no one likes that, right? Like don't let your brand sit in its own poo. Don't.
Let's hit on that like a little bit harder then, because so you and I met, became friends because I needed a headshot. Mine were awful. And I also recognized the importance of branding. I had was a member of the American Academy of Cosmetic Dentistry at the time. I still am today.
Mm-hmm.
And branding was talked about. They even sent me a workbook to do it. And I was like, all right, I did this workbook and great. I still don't know what my brand is. And then over the next few years, you and I got talking about it more and more. We've talked, we can hit on this story. But when it came down to it, you and I sat down and were like, what's personal brand versus practice brand? So right now, we have 3 brands that you've helped me develop and are helping me care for. It's the personal brand, it's the practice brand, and it's the med spas brand. What did you have to think about, and what are the differences between those types of things?
Yeah. So the difference is, number one, taking a step back, right? Like sometimes as a creative and a marketing strategist, you have to start to look beyond the brand. You have to look at the components and you have to see what's possible and what's doable. Because a lot of time, a client will be like, I want to do this, but they maybe don't have the technology to support it.
Let's be more specific though. Let's use me as an example.
Okay.
I will be vulnerable.
Okay.
When I came to you and I was like, dude, I need a brand for the practice.
Right. Okay.
So what did you see and go,
Yeah. It was inconsistent. The logo was used differently, some of it had different colors, the one component that I felt that we could really lean into was the lips that you had. You had the lips created and it felt very modern and you even expressed I'm open to a lot of things changing, but you leave those damn lips alone.
I had just, for the record, I had spent a lot of
X amount of dollars.
Acrylic cutouts.
Double X.
That we had embedded into the decor at the practice.
Right. So, you take a look at a brand and you start to identify, okay, what do they have and what don't they have? So when I looked at your brand, I saw that you have a logo. You did not have an established typography. Your color palette, there was somewhat of a consistent color palette, but it wasn't as harmonious as I would have liked.
Yeah, and it wasn't me.
It wasn't Dr. E. When you're building a brand, you need components and you need to have that right foundation. So for me, there are 3 to 4, but the first 3 are the most important. One, you got to have a logo. Then you need to have identified typography. 1 or 2 at most. Maybe there's a 3rd one for special things.
And why is the typography important?
Because
that was the hardest thing for me to explain to my staff.
So if you break down typography, right, and I'll just keep it simple, you have a serif font, a sans serif font, right? So a sans serif font is a typeface or a font that it goes beyond the base, right?
Anyone can go into Word right now and
yeah, go ahead. Yeah, just Times Roman and Helvetica. Just look at the difference. So, so for the typography, right? When you're doing a headline, that's showing up consistently with your logo, right? So you want those componentries that you're always using. You want to have harmony there. You want to have consistency there. So if you're going to do a different typeface for something on one piece of marketing material, but then you're going to do it on something else, you're confusing your audience.
And we were doing okay with the website, but we had too many different cooks in the kitchen. Mm-hmm. You'd look at our billboards and it's using fonts that it looked confused. It's not as confused as some dental marketing that I've seen, mm-hmm. but you're right. There was no consistency, and you want immediate recognizability.
Right. You want to look at that and be like, I know that. That's Dr. Erlien and his, but so then, so the components that you need, logo, typography, and then a color palette. So the color palette is very important because, you want to have these colors that support your brand, in the digital world, in the print world, and then in the real world when people show up to your facility, right? Or they show up to the practice and it's people become familiar with, right? And there's a process, and this isn't a switch that you can just flip overnight. You really have to pay attention to it. Now, Once you have those foundations set, then we started to work on your tone of voice. When we're doing messaging, how do we sound? Right? There's a big difference between saying like, I can help fix your cavities. Or are you missing teeth? We can help you at Taylor Drive Dental Care. Or missing teeth and confidence? Find both at Taylor Drive Dental Care. So we're trying to be relatable and not just tell people what we can do. We're trying to tap into that messaging that pulls.
Yeah, because I could list everything that I do on my marketing, or I could deliver a message.
Right, and you could deliver a message. And I think, a lot of people too get caught up in, well, they want to tell everybody everything because they want to piggyback on this opportunity. Let's just take a billboard, right?
Yeah.
How many times have we seen the billboard and it's 10 pounds of crap packed into a 5-pound bag?
Yeah, listing, and we even did that. We had billboards that listed 12 to 14 services on them. No one can read it.
No one can. So you want something that's digestible in 3 seconds. And that's why, from a marketing standpoint and social media with Reels and TikTok and like all that stuff, that's why that micro size bits and pieces of information started to drive different types of marketing, right? The 7-second clip or the 15. I would have, like 20 years ago, I'd been like, a 7-second ad? Are you kidding me?
I think you and I talked about this before. I was looking through an old Life magazine. They had some of their ads were extremely basic because the attention span even back then was short. I just think we've gotten better at creating a digital and video format in that amount of time too.
Yeah. I mean, and even my time at Mercury, at Mercury Marine, and it's an engineering company and features and benefits around engines, the amount of nerd information that
but when you approach that, you put a really sweet picture of a guy on a boat. And for someone like me who wasn't into the engine, maybe, I'm looking at the cool boat and I go, I want that boat.
You want the lifestyle.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want the lifestyle. People don't go engineering.
Yeah.
They go boating.
Well, some do.
Some do, yes.
Well, okay. Can we break this down a little bit further? Then?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I came to you and I'm like, I want to be the brand. And
yep.
You pump the brakes on that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Just telling the story here. Like you need to encompass the brand, but you have other practitioners working.
Right.
And
so if everything is going to be about you, right, then we don't get to see the team aspect of it that I know
it's super important for
right. You care very deeply about. So, yeah, when you brought it up to me and you're like, I know I need to be the face, but I think I was like, hey, let's pump the brakes and let's take a step back and let's talk about how a lot of this stuff will live, right? That's one of my favorite questions. How will this campaign live, or how will this picture live, right? And it challenges my clients, customers, friends, people in life to think differently about what is happening. Because how many times in marketing were you like, I got to get a website done? But you didn't ask yourself, what do I need my website to do? You just needed, you knew you needed a website.
That's one of the things I came to you with, is that I was like, is this website right? I think one thing you said to me is that the brand of the business needs to exist whether or not you're the face of it, but it shouldn't conflict with who you are. Am I quoting you correctly there?
Yes. If for some reason you're not here tomorrow at the practice, then what?
Right.
So again, that's thinking about the brand, thinking about the practice as something that cannot help itself. So how do you set it up for success?
Right.
It's interesting. A lot of people that start a business and they get into it, marketing is something that is an afterthought. They're like, I'm going to open my doors and people will walk in.
Heck, it doesn't work. That doesn't work.
It really doesn't.
No.
So, I mean, I don't know how far down the rabbit hole you want me to go here, but I could do this all day when it talks to how you should care for your brand and the things that I think you've done an amazing job in doing. So I do want to call out one thing. So one of the very first exercise that Dr. Elliot and I did to improve the brand was creating a brand book.
Yes.
You have a logo, typography, and color palette. This is now where, okay, I have a business, I have other employees, I need to ensure that the brand is going to be cared for. So how might I educate my staff on the brand?
And this is something that I didn't realize I had gone through multiple exercises doing at the time. Was creating a mission statement, trying to create core pillars of what my business had to be. That was like one of the first things that we needed. Now, we didn't use exactly what I had come up with in the past. That definitely influenced the rest of the brand book.
Yeah, and I think it also helped you understand, a lot better about like why we were doing what we were doing. So I walked Dr. Elliott through a whole exercise of like trying to understand the business, how that related, how we could start talking about it.
Right.
We identified that, what Dr. Elliott does is not only does he help people maintain what they have, but he provides comfort and confidence.
Sure.
Right. And then the parallels between what he and I do professionally, we kind of met on the journey.
Yeah, I think it really helped for you to understand what I was going for in the way that we were able to layer and find the parallels of our two industries in photography and in dentistry. I guess that's a good message to people, though. Like people who are listening to this podcast and go, how the heck do I start with branding? If you started a business and you don't have a mission statement, you're already way behind. But most people who have started a business should have some sort of mission statement and core values. You've already started the process. Whether you realize it or not, you've started your branding.
Absolutely. And so the brand book is, again, one of those things, usually it's a PDF document, you can get it printed. But now that Dr. Elliott and his staff have it, they all understand what the logo is. They all understand how to use the logo. They have the typography that they should be using. They have tone of voice examples. And when I say tone of voice, you're establishing guardrails around how you talk. Like, we don't sound this way. We sound this way. We are not rude. We are not critical, overly critical. We are not judgy. We are kind. We are supportive. We are guiding, right?
Yeah, and all my employees get that brand book when they start.
Exactly.
In fact, when we interview them, we're looking for things. Are they going to conflict with the brand?
Mm-hmm.
Because all of my employees interact with our patients.
Absolutely, right? So this
I don't have any background worker.
Right. But then also sometimes like you get an advertising opportunity. And, although you have resources internally that can do the creative for you, but sometimes this requires you just outsourcing or providing to whoever you're going to advertise with. You're like, hey, here's my brand book. Here's my logo. Here's all the things. And the response is, thank you. No one ever does that for us.
So when Paramount Plus ever picks up my dental office-based sitcom, I can hand them the brand book.
And they're going to say, you're already one step ahead of everyone else. But yeah, so this is also a document, right, that holds accountability to the brand and yourself as, in your case, the brand owner. So that is probably a really good place to start. And the best thing about a brand book too is it evolves as the brand evolves.
Yep, it can be added to, things can be taken out.
Yep.
And I think when you're putting together a brand, it has to be something that you're excited about. And do you mind if I go into some of the mistakes I made along the way?
It's your show, buddy.
All right. So well, you're the guest today. You're not just the co-host.
No, I mean, like what you learned through, like you said, through some mistakes is why, yeah, man, go for it.
Okay. So one of the things that I did early on was I tried to keep everything too much the same as how my dad had things laid out. And what I realized is that my dad's eclectic nature was not going to be cohesive with building a brand behind it. One of the most popular things in objects in the office for a while was a wooden statue my dad had just sitting out of a skinny South American man holding a chicken.
He may have gotten that on his travels, I would imagine.
No, he probably bought it at a farmer's market somewhere. My dad was not a big traveler.
Gotcha.
But just like random, like nothing was cohesive. So I was like, okay, we need to like step back. This office looks like my parents' house. Like down to this, they use the same color stain on that front desk as they did for their entire stairs growing up. Like I want to feel like I've moved out of my parents' house. So we started updating the aesthetic, and I did that without any brand. No colors really picked out, nothing. I hired an interior designer who's like, hey, you need to have a brand. I'm like, just come up with something, and if I like it, we'll go with it. So he came up with some mood boards, and that was actually a good place to start. And he had like really like distinct, like this is the feeling I'm going for, this and that. But it was what he thought it should be. And I hadn't given him any idea of what my mission was.
Right.
And he just kind of pulled what he knew from me because he knew me personally. He's like, this is what he wants. This is the type of clientele he wants to attract. This is what we need to do. So then I hired a web developer, and they're a good company. They did a good job. But again, I didn't give them enough information. I'm like, well, we've been using red and blue and navy blue in a lot of our advertising in the past. So let's just continue to use that. And what we got was like kind of an American flag look across our website.
Yep. Red, white, and blue.
Yep. So then I'm like, okay, back up. We did a mood board for the interior design work. Let's just send them that mood board and have them replicate that. Well, now the messaging isn't matching the mood. Now it just didn't fit right. So that's when everyone had an input on what it should be like. Like all my staff were making like suggestions.
Lots of cooks in the kitchen.
Way too much. And what I needed to do was I'm going to be like, okay, not everyone's going to like how this is going to be decorated. In fact, I had one staff member who's always told me how ugly she thinks certain things I've picked out are.
And that's so great.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's really nice to let people know when they think things are ugly.
Yeah. You know what? At least she's honest.
Yeah.
And then I have, and I'll never falter for that. But I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm going to call Jon and I am going to do what I should have done at the start, which is meet with him, tell him what I want my business to be like, what I have established already, and I'm not going to have anyone else in the room to bias it in what the place had been like in the past. And then you and I had to digest, like, are we creating a brand that can sustain itself, or are we trying to create something that has no semblance on reality? Can we deliver what we're proposing here?
Well, and I also, as we were going through the exercise, we talked a lot of dentistry. I learned a lot because I get very inquisitive, right? Like I start to ask a ton of questions because ultimately, like the marketing should be adding to the bottom line.
Right. And here's my message to anyone who's starting a business or any dentist that is trying to start or buy an office and it wants to create a brand, is to work with a group of people or a singular person like I did with Jon, who understands what branding is, and you spend a minimum of a 4-hour session with them.
It goes by quick, believe it or not. Yes. And it's a lot of fun because you start to uncover a lot of things you didn't even realize.
Yeah. Any company that says we're going to propose a brand directly to you without a conversation like that, find someone else or insist upon it. Like, hey, no, I need to be here. And if they hand you 3 different things and you're not excited about any of them, you need to ask yourself, is it time to move on to a different company?
Or did you do a good job briefing them on the task?
That's true too.
Because in my experience, and I saw with my own 2 eyes, so about a 20-year corporate career and I saw it time and time again where we would be working with an agency for a specific project, and it was just like a carpet bomb. Here you go, get it done. You're an agency. You have all the skills. You guys are smart. So like that's why we pay you all the big money.
That's probably what I did when I handed it over the website.
And honestly, like that's where you fail. That is the biggest point of failure, and that goes back to not caring about your brand. You're going ahead and putting your brand in the hands of another human being, and you're saying, here, I now don't care about my brand, and you tell me what my brand should be.
I like the message.
Right.
There's a lot of self-discovery when we get out of dental school. I was fortunate enough to be older when I went to dental school. I had probably a better grip on who I was as a person than a lot of my classmates who were 4 to 5 years younger than me. Because I started dental school at 27 and most of them were 22, and we even had some people who were younger.
Mm-hmm.
I had toured, I had worked in retail, I knew I was a nerdy anime kid who felt as comfortable in like skate shoes and skinny jeans as I did in a suit. Like I knew that I had different aspects to who I was. I was never trying to like force myself to be someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Then I got to dental school where they put you all in the same color scrubs and they try to beat the individuality out of you. And if you're 22 years old, and this doesn't apply to everyone, and you've lived at home the entire time that you're at school, you know, your life has been school since you were in kindergarten. You didn't take a gap year. There's no self-discovery. Finding out who you are right after coming out of dental school is going to take time, and it's okay. And I think that's true for any entrepreneur who's worked in an industry for a really long time. And maybe you can echo this after you left the corporate level.
Mm-hmm.
It sometimes takes time and therapy, which is okay.
It's okay.
I went to therapy a lot.
Therapy comes in different shapes and sizes and situations.
Mine was paying a therapist to yell at her so I didn't yell at my family.
Some people do that into a pillow.
Yes. But the pillow can't give you retrospective on whether you're being a jerk or not.
I mean, there's definitely more of an upside to yelling at a human being when you pay them to yell at them. No, but carry on.
But when you got out of the corporate sector, there was probably times of self-discovery going on.
Oh my God. I love this question, and thank you for asking it. So yes, I was completely beat up and broken down within the corporate structure, you know.
You're not trying to rag on it. You learned a lot.
No, man, I love where I was, but you know,
it was time to move on.
It was time to move on. I moved on, and self-discovery wise, I learned a lot. I think it took me about 6 months before things really started to clear up, because when I left, I felt like, man, I'm 46. I thought the juice was gone, but it wasn't. It got exhausted.
I think it changed too, and I think when I came in and we were just talking, you and I both figured out what we liked about our professions more.
Yeah. But the clarity that I got was that, you know, I still had a lot to offer. You know, I can help people with their brand. I understand the process. So that, I think, for me is really where my confidence comes from when it comes to marketing and branding, is the process. I started at an entry level job as a production designer, which is lower than a graphic designer. And I worked my way up to being a creative director, you know, and through that process, you get to sample all of it. And it's really, really, that's the growth. And then when you add the business side to it, right? Because when you're doing marketing, right, like, you know, it's got to add to the bottom line. So you have to start to care about those things. It's the process. So baking that into everything I do helps me being able to lead and guide and discuss those conversations.
Moving on from that, because I think we could talk about this for another hour and a half.
Yeah.
But one thing that you pushed me to do And you would also push back on as I was like, I'm going to be authentic to who I am. I'm going to wear black scrubs. I'm not going to hide my tattoos in marketing and advertising.
No.
I am going to, we're going to play more energy filled music in the dental office, and we're going to create an authentic experience for the patient.
Right. It's those little things too. So like showing up as who you are is going to make your brand more authentic. And it's also going to cut the crap with yourself.
Right.
You know, like you're being who you are. So you're not wasting any energy trying to be something that you're not.
Agreed.
And then you can put that into your craft or something else more meaningful.
And you really like hit that hard. We did all kinds of like metaphors and like comparisons. We talked about Voltaggio, the great chef who is again unapologetically himself. In fact, a lot of chefs since he really hit the scene have. I don't think we'd see so many neck tattoos in the kitchen on the head chef if it wasn't for Voltaggio.
I think he made it feel like do what you love and express yourself how you want to.
Right. And then for me, it's like, I want to be a little edgy. I want to be unapologetically myself, but I want to be a professional. And that's what we really embraced with dentistry. We've created a patient experience that can be relaxed and feels like home, because when it comes down to it, the patient comes in, we interview them, we try to meet them at their part of the journey.
Yep.
And then their experience after that is curated to them. We try to create a relaxing environment. I am trained on dental sedation, and I feel like I use it less and less because we provide more. Our experience has become more and more comfortable.
Well, in building that trust.
Yes, by being authentic.
Yep.
So it's everything from I come in, I've gotten some information from your interview to get to know you a little bit. So we don't have that awkwardness of like, hey, I don't know anything.
Right, but you're also marketing to this different generation than your dad was too, right? Where, there was a lot of feature benefit in the stereotype. But like you said, the white lab coat. Like if you don't look the part, are you the part?
Yep.
And that now is, I personally think that's out the window.
I think so too, for the most part. There are still people who gravitate to that. And
it's just not something that it's a watch out anymore. Like nose rings, septum piercings, tattoos below the elbow, etc.
It was very interesting to edit the dress code in our practice manual so I could come to work.
That is. That's a heavy task.
Yeah. And then we embraced the things that we did really, really well to begin with, which was the patient experience and really targeting comfort. Making sure that the patient has an outlet to express what they're fearful of or what their expectations are in their new patient interview, down to making sure that our chairs are comfortable, that the padding isn't worn out. We do noise canceling headphones. Some of our rooms have TVs on the top. Nitrous or laughing gas is always available. We do sedation dentistry, and the whole point is to get to know where you're at on your journey and make sure that your patient experience is different than the last patient. And the way we do that and make people feel comfortable is by being authentic and offering certain amenities that you're not going to find at other. And then when we talked about the branding and marketing for the med spa, I was like, dude, I haven't embraced enough of who I am as like that punk rock.
And that was fun.
That was even more fun.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that the dental branding wasn't fun, but we did have to be more professional.
Yeah.
But with the med spa, we could just be straight up.
Dude, the med spa is just straight up unapologetically authentic.
Yep.
Like straight up. So, why don't you say what the other business is and say like what the stereotypes are, and then like and then we can get into how we approach it, but I'd love for you to just kind of like tee it up.
Yeah. So I own a facial aesthetic center. It's not a true med spa. But we focus on the head and neck, and we do some body treatments as well. But we provide Botox, fillers, collagen stimulating injections, laser hair removal, medical grade facials and products, and a lot of other services that are designated towards creating healthier skin and making you feel more confident in the way you look, helping you age gracefully, or maybe changing something about the appearance in a non-surgical way that you're happy with. We're not looking to make you look like you've had something done, but there's a lot of med spas out there, and it's just pink. Everything is pink, or it's really soft spa tones. And I did an exercise. I don't even want to call it an exercise. I would show my wife, I'm like, hey, what med spa do you think this is? And it would just be a bunch of pink stuff. And she'd be like, oh, it's this one down in Milwaukee. I'm like, no, this one's in Texas. It's the exact same thing done over and over. And as a guy in that industry, which is kind of rare, I was like, well, let's capitalize on that. Let's make a place that male or female are really comfortable going to. And let's lean into something that the Generation X and Millennials, which are my target audience, both can relate to, and I can relate to, which is kind of that MTV punk rock vibe.
Yeah. And that's the approach we took. Now, the first thing that we discussed was the stereotype around Botox fillers, right?
Yeah.
Like we addressed it right off the bat, right? So if we were going to go into doing this brand, like my approach to it is like, again, got to be genuine, got to keep it real, own who you are, right? Like and I'm just going to say it. The stereotype is like that people can look really bad when it's not done right.
And they can.
And they can.
But that's not what we do.
That's not. Absolutely. So the driving force behind the brand now, so Taylor Dry Facial Aesthetics, TDFA, is to own your glow and unapologetically be yourself. If you want to get Botox, you want to get fillers, you want to do this, and that, that's cool. You know what? You're doing it for you. You're doing it for your confidence. You're discarding the naysayers out there because you're doing it for you. You're not doing it for anyone else.
Right. And we built from there.
Did.
We're going to do black. We're going to do textures. We're going to do bright colors. But we created a brand that is completely different than any of the other businesses that are in the industry in the area.
It is. It's different, and I'd not to kind of like take a nod at like the brand Liquid Death, but they were actually very inspiring to me, and not just like for this exercise with TDFA, but just they are a brand that came out and they were basically like, screw corporate America. If you go on your website, they're basically like, we are the uncorporate corporate, So it was with that sort of inspiration that like we should be unapologetic for the services we offer because we know what people say.
Right.
So like, let's just nip it in the butt right off the bat. And as you walk through the door, you even see it. Own your glow. Own who you are.
Yeah, I think that's hugely important. And it embraced who I was. I felt more comfortable in that because, again, the branding that was done for that business was done by someone who marketed it around themselves more than a business. And I even told my employees, I'm like, look, we can kind of do whatever we want with this because if you think about it in the idea of MTV has Britney Spears and Slipknot playing on the same stage. So,
weird.
You know what I mean? Everyone has some sort of thing about themselves that they tongue-in-cheek aspect of themselves, and that's what we're kind of hitting at. And I think when it came down to it, that reflected everything about what I think I do differently in dentistry. And I am not saying that I am a unicorn in any way. There's a lot of really great dentists that I think have started to embrace this ideology. But it's not just about the technology. You and I went over that over and over and over. And I'm like, I want to do a video that shows every little aspect of what I'm doing with the computer because it's freaking cool. And I remember you like stopping me more than once and being like, the consumer doesn't care. They want to know that you're using the technology to create better care.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And we do that. Like we stay ahead of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we use 3D printing in ways that have never been done before.
And you see, like, you allowed me to understand how the technology could be leveraged as marketing, right? So same day crowns goes back to technology.
Right. But if I had it my way, we would have made a 5-minute video of the same day crown process and try to use that as an advertisement.
Right.
Where yours was, well, let's just show you making the crown really quick, but let's look at the patient experience in that video as well.
Yeah. And that's something that a lot of people miss with their advertising is they don't put the customer experience at the center, and they feel like what they need to do is just talk about the services that they provide and the features and benefits that go along with them. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like buying a car.
And when I was thinking, like how I think through cases is I'm thinking about how everything is going to move and go together. Virtually mounting up cases or even printing them out and looking at teeth. How am I going to do this?
Mm-hmm.
Like printing out models. I have to think about like, where's the patient at? What can they do financially? Because that's a huge component.
Right.
At the same time, I'm not there to diagnose their wallet. I'm there to diagnose their mouth.
Right.
But I think about cases in this big overarching way. But that's not part of advertising. The patient doesn't. Now, there are patients who are interested in that. And that's where a blog post comes in.
Right. Or a case study, right? And it goes back to your portfolio of before and after.
Right. But when it comes to your marketing,
right. And
this is maybe a message for dentists who are trying to figure out what to do with their marketing.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what brings people in necessarily. They want to like look at you as an authority. They want to get a good idea what their experience is going to look like. And they want to know that the outcome is going to be solid.
Mm-hmm.
So in a sense, you could do a really basic video showing the patient walk in, looking super comfortable, smiling the entire time. You want to show off your tech, show them getting scanned and how it's comfortable, and then show the final outcome. Mm-hmm. You don't even need to show them the before.
Right. It's that smile, right?
Yeah.
And that, like, let's tie it back to that confidence, right? Like, I mean, I've seen it when you've done the reveal, but like, there's nothing more genuine in nature than when you know that you just changed someone's life.
And you can see that in the smile and in the before and afters. And that's where those should play. When somebody is like, once you've got them in from your marketing and they get to your website, that's where your blog posts start to sing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the before and after smile gallery sits.
Mm-hmm.
And what I love about a smile transformation that has improved someone's confidence is so many people think I did Botox or fillers on that patient because they're glowing. I'm like, I haven't, and most of them I haven't done a thing. On one side, we have a person who's forcing a smile and isn't confident about themselves. And on the other side, we have somebody who is. They look more radiant, they look more natural, and they look more confident. And that has almost a physical change in their appearance.
I mean,
it does have a physical change.
Yeah, I mean, and we recently just did a video testimonial with one of Dr. Elliott's patients, and I actually met this patient prior to, and then when we did the interview, it was just like night and day. It was like, holy crap! Like, one of the things in her video was she's like, I got my confidence back.
Right.
Like, that's amazing.
And I think she had a really good line of like, I was confident in who I was, but there was a part of my confidence that I was missing that I didn't even realize I was missing until I got my smile where I wanted.
Right. Right. It's a powerful thing.
For sure.
So,
when we talk about your industry and my industry, dentistry is hard. A lot of guys who are in private practice, the marketing is difficult. You're running everything as the business owner. Having a really good office manager can help.
Well, How about this, right?
Go for it.
So you were a dentist that was also doing your own marketing.
Yeah.
Do you suggest that?
No. Now,
done and done.
I do suggest you being involved in your own brand
For
and
sure.
working on your brand.
Mm-hmm.
If you have the background and the tenacity and the time to do it yourself, you can. Like, I know guys who started their own practice and their things are slow. Those types of people are able to do it themselves to a degree. Again, it doesn't always work. But me, I bought a super busy practice and I was the lead clinician. It would not suggest it.
Something's got to give, right? As a manager, whatever, right? Like, you have to let go of those things because your job is to focus on being a kick-ass dentist, right? And expand your craft, not to be the best marketer.
Right.
And that's something that I think just even outside of dentistry.
I mean, there's parallels to a lot of things.
There is.
I mean, when you buy a business or start a business, you're usually your accountant, your bookkeeper, your payroll person, the manager, everything. One thing that you don't want to screw up on because it can make or break your company is your marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And asking for help is always a valuable thing. And for me as a dentist, my job is really hard already as a dentist.
Yeah, you're in there doing 3 tooth extractions, and then like you're supposed to be working on headlines for a Google ad campaign. No, I don't think
3
so.
teeth would be easy. I could do a Google ad campaign. You need to get on my level here.
Oh my god, shit, man, that doesn't sound like I could do that. No,
but business is hard.
Business
is hard. You've experienced that. But you've also seen where good marketing and pivoting on marketing is important.
Yep.
I mean, your headshot business just came out of nowhere and probably could have sustained you for the rest of your life if you had chosen to go that way.
Yeah, I think so. It's what I bring to that, though. Like, and it's interesting, right? Like, I don't know, like, if I could, in a sense, do what you did, like, sell my practice, right? Dr. Erlien didn't do that, but he bought the practice, right? But if I were to sell my business, my photography business, like, yes, they can use all the same tools, but they're not going to get the same results.
It's actually a huge problem in dentistry because you sell the practice and so many single doctor practices, everything is based around that single doctor and it loses value in that way.
Right.
So for me, I identified that early and I'm like, my practice needs to be worth something, whether I'm working or not. So I need great associates or to bring in great partners.
Right.
For whatever comes from this podcast or my mentoring or things like that was not going to be the same as the business's brand. The business's brand had to be a reflection of me because I needed to be authentic, but it is not me.
Well, I think we did a really good job of breaking down some of the concerns around the tattoos, right?
Yeah.
Like establishing that it's okay to be who you are and once you get past that, like, you just show up as yourself.
Yeah, I don't even wear my clinic coat unless the handpiece is spinning anymore. I just
And has it changed anything?
In a way, I'm just more confident when I walk into a room. This is who I am. If they have a problem with it, they can go somewhere else.
Yeah.
It makes my day easier, that's for sure. Because if you're faking who you are, like I have a bunch of friends who are very introverted, and they'll try to force themselves to be extroverts, and it makes them miserable. And they don't have to practice dentistry that way. You can create a brand that is quiet and more somber. We talked about that. You don't have to be everybody's dentist.
No, you don't. Well, how about this? Because I know we're near the end. What advice would you give other dental practices when it comes to your dental practice and the brand? What do you recommend?
Let's narrow the scope just a little bit. Let's say that you're buying an established practice.
Okay, you're buying an established practice. How do you handle the marketing?
Okay. That's a little easier.
Sorry.
Well, a startup is completely different too. But if you're buying a practice and you're about to become the practice owner, the worst thing I think you can do culturally for your staff is to tear down everything that was existing about that practice.
Mm-hmm.
But you also cannot continue what the culture was about that practice is if it's in conflict with who you are. So when it comes to marketing, your branding should maybe have honor what came before that. So for me, that was leaving the lips intact and focusing on the patient experience, which was always my dad's goal, because he's not the warm, fuzzy type. He relied on his staff to provide that patient excellent experience, where I rely on myself to provide that experience.
Yes. You're way more...
I'm way more...
personal, jovial, like all the things.
My dad is a great guy, a conversationalist, but he's not the same as I am. My staff have to sometimes drag me out of there. So again, to narrow it back down.
Narrow it back down.
If you're buying a practice and you can't tear down everything that happened before, you need to honor the aspects that are there that made it great in the first place, the reason you wanted to buy it, but it should not conflict with who you are. And your brand should develop from there. And I think one big suggestion is that I can make, and I think it was a thing that maybe was a mistake I was making early on, is trying to throw everything that was about myself into the brand, but it was also making me try to be someone I wasn't necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
Like the brand should be a reflection of you, and you should feel like you can be authentic within that brand, but it is not you,
right?
Either. Like. Yeah. You know, who I am in my social media posts and things like that are a reflection of who I am, but that is not who I am.
Right.
Yeah.
And
I think that's why I'm excited about this podcast, is I get to share more about who I am.
Right. Agreed.
Yeah.
Well,
but I still love it. I still love dentistry. I like, even through all of this roller coaster of things that have gone on, growth is hard, and I'm liking what we're building. I'm liking working with Jon. I'm liking to see where Jon's growth is happening. And
always growing.
It's, where it's going, I don't know. I'd love to move into mentorship one day. I'd love to own another practice maybe one day. I'd love to see my facial aesthetic center grow.
And like now having those feelings because you've kind of gotten over the hump, because from a marketing and branding standpoint,
couldn't do it without a good brand.
Right. Now part of the process, you know what it takes.
Yeah. I guess one exercise that you can do with yourselves is, if you're spending too much time looking at your marketing that's proposed to you and going, I don't like this, but I don't know why, it's probably because your brand is not defined enough.
Yeah, I would agree.
All right. Again, we could talk about this forever, but I think we'll get too much into the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
But this has been another great episode of the Death Before Decay podcast with Dr. Elliot, brought to you by Taylor Drive Dental Care. Thanks for listening, and have an awesome day.
Thanks for having me.
I'll see you next time.